very interesting thing, and at the same time, a less addressed topic in as far as running an initiative or running a business project. So oftentimes when you're starting out a business or an idea, we are all excited, we have this zeal, we have this fire to execute and to see it grow and come to the realization that we have in mind. But oftentimes what we mostly neglect to consider is the fact that there comes a time when the dream dies. So there's a stage where every project, I believe, be it a business, be it a charity movement, be it any type of organization, gets to die. Like the idea, the fire that you had literally drains. And due to a lot of factors, could be team not responding to the way you're expecting them, and also your lack of consistency and commitment to giving to the movement also can affect that. But eventually, definitely, a dream dies, and this is where the defining stage comes in. This is where now you see organizations that push to the next level and organizations that become part of history. So this is the most critical stage of any business venture, any project, any movement. So what gets to happen at this stage is that it's a testing trial. For me, I feel like it's a trial space where now they get to be a differentiation between the actual projects that are meant to make it out and projects that are not going to see it the long term. And this corona space will actually result in a lot of projects dying, but what will differentiate projects that will thrive after this is that they will set a firm foundation that it will be impossible for them to go out again. So what I'm trying to say is, as a leader, as a vision carrier of any movement or any business idea, anticipate this. Whichever stage you're at, if you've never yet experienced this, it's definitely coming. Be it not in this space, but definitely eventually you experience a situation where your fire and your zeal you once had is completely drained, and what you do after this phase is what will determine. I was at a point where I nearly committed suicide because I thought it was it for me. It was the end. I couldn't focus on school, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. And this is a time where I'd made a lot of noise on social media, I'd sold out t-shirts, I'd sold the image, and everyone started relating with me with this kind of work I was starting to push forward for. And just out of nowhere, due to other factors, like again I've said, the fire goes. What happens? Now you find that you're alone, and this becomes overwhelming. And if you're told beforehand that there will be this stage, oftentimes, if I look back today, I think I would still not have thought I would have gone through if I'd seen the kind of struggle I would go through for me to maybe attain a certain level that possibly MDP is operating at. I would have had a big question if it was I would have been willing to go through the fire that every leader has to go through at a certain time. So you should be expecting that coming. So because I reached a point where I thought committing suicide was the only way out for me, and it's hard to put in words because it requires someone to have been there for them to fully relate with how passion can drive you to a place where everything becomes non-existent, but only that which you believe in is the only thing that matters. And it took a lot of time. And again, it takes you going back to the original foundation, going back to why you started. Did you start because your friend said they'll support you? Did you start because you need this to run so that you sell your image? Did you start this because you wanted to see a betterment of society or community, or maybe to bring your product to the world so they can appreciate it and add value to the human race? If you go back to the basics of how you started, you should be able to get out of this trap. So it's not a trap, it's actually a good phase which actually tests everything. It's a refining stage. After that stage, you move to a level where you'll be operating regardless whether there's no support, you're able to push through. In the book Making Your First 100K, I mentioned to say there comes a time in one's life where no form of motivation makes sense. And after that phase, you won't ever need any motivation. You become motivation itself. So how you handle this stage is very critical to the future of whichever endeavor you ever go towards. So you find that if you don't get to make it out of this phase, it's highly likely that you give up on a lot of things, be it relationship, be it family, and people end up start going in a different path altogether. But I encourage you to sustain. I encourage you to fight. I encourage you to stick long enough that you won't be among the statistics. And I'm always rooting for you. I'm always believing that we have young ones that have energy, that have the potential to make it through, even through the dark days that may face them in their endeavors. And seek help of those that have been where you want to be. It's not everyone that will understand your journey or your struggles, but someone who's been where you're going actually has been through the struggles and the challenges you are facing. So peace, let's communicate.